getting into your holiday garden is kind of where we're at today, right? And I got a list of stuff. So if you got a piece of paper or pencil, it's like you want to start writing down some of these things that are great adds to your garden now for your holiday gardening experience. And so when we're talking about beets, we talked about it in the first segment, but really the variety that you want that's going to be quickest is it takes about 48 days. And it's called the Early Wonder. So the Early Wonder beet is one of my favorite. Now, a standard beet's going to take about 60 days. That's why if you're planting it now, you'll probably be able to pull some beets. There'll be some medium-sized beets you'll be able to pull around Thanksgiving time. And then you can let them keep growing, and then they'll be available. And the reason I love beets in the wintertime for holiday season is because of that beautiful red color they got. You match that with some kale or some bok choy, some broccoli, Brussels sprouts. These are all things that you can be growing and planting right now. Even carrots. So carrots right now, cauliflower, cabbages, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. Those are all things you want to get as a transplant right now if you want to have it ready for your holidays. So collard greens. I know collard greens are a big deal, especially you got your black-eyed peas and collard greens, for January, New Year's time and stuff. You can plant those via seed right now, but if you plant them as a start, that's even better because you'll have production throughout the whole holiday season. You'll need to give them at least 30 days from the start before you start picking any of the leaves. And we can get in after the break. We'll get in a little bit more on kind of how you're harvesting to make sure you can extend those seasons of these wonderful vegetables all the way through the holidays.
And plant starts are pretty cheap. I mean, if you break it down to a cost per seed per bag, it's a lot more expensive than this bag of seeds. But I mean, you're still a couple bucks a start. It's a pretty affordable way to get going.
Indeed.
It's the second Saturday of the month. It's the Ultimate Garden Hour here in the Outdoor Living Hour. Rosie on the House. Justin Rohner is in studio talking holiday garden secrets. And you were running through the list of everything to plant. When we got to the break, you're like, alphabetically, I only got to C.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a lot more stuff. I mean, this is one of our favorite times to grow here in Arizona. From the C's, we got celery, but that's got to be a transplant if you want it and it's more, you'll be more probably eating the greens than you are going to be eating the stalks. So if you want the celery flavor, you can still do that and growing that right now, but you're going to be growing a transplant of celery and you're going to be eating the outer leaves and thinner stalks. They're not going to be the huge crispy stalks. Those won't be really ripened until about February, March, if you're growing them right now. But cilantro, that's one you can get seeded in now, but that's going to not be really doing anything until you get into your January time. So get a start with that. Collard greens, dill, endive. That's another interesting one. Kind of a bitter lettuce, but those are kind of fun.
So that was two different dill,
and then endive. So endive is kind of it's a frilly looking kind of lettuce. It's got usually a bright green color. I like them as an add-in because it's got different textures. It almost looks like for holiday wise, almost looks like has a texture or a look like snowflakes. Kind of like a snowflake kind of appearance to them, which is kind of fun.
So it wouldn't be something you necessarily have as a salad itself, but you add it in with mixed greens.
Mix it in. And mixed greens are one of your best things you can do. And that's why I grow a lot of these different green types and then mix them together. And that's kind of a fun thing for the salad. Add some beets in there. You got your color that adds your nice red colors. Right now also you got fennel, either herb or bulbing. You can do both. We got all the varieties of kale, lavender. You can transplant those right now. Lettuces, pretty much everything lettuce-wise. If you get there's a Salanova type that's a really fast-growing, slow bolt type of lettuce that I would highly recommend because they will be done really fast. They're about 40 to 55 days to have a whole little head of lettuce and a beautiful heads of lettuce. Mizuna, mint with transplants, mustard greens, onions, both the bulb and the multiplier types, oregano, parsley, parsnips, peas. And with the peas, the quickest ones are called Marvel. So the Marvel pea is about a 62-day time cycle. And so if you get that planted now, you're going to have some peas, even some little snap peas that you can start eating for Thanksgiving. And so now's a great time to get those started. They do need a trellis, something to grow on. They need to climb.
Is it 60 days to Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
We're less than that, aren't we?
Well, we're close, but you'll have some little guys that you can eat, which is kind of fun. So even pea shoots are fun to eat. Potatoes, those are going to take a little bit longer, but as we talked about before, in the R's, we got radishes. They're 28 days.
Now, on potatoes, before we move on, obviously, well, and for a lot of these root, carrots, your root crops, do you do those in raised bed so you've got soil to grow? Because, I mean, we got some really hard clays and, the first time you plant carrots in the
You got some skinny well, what you want to do, and that's a good point. I mean, when you're planting any of your root crops, you want to make sure we do deep tining. So we have broad forks where they go down at least 18 inches. I mean, we got a couple that are like 24 inches down, and we're going to blade that and just cut that soil up just a little bit before we plant the seeds so that it's got some channels for those roots to grow down deep. So you got a good deep root. Because the carrot root the carrot part will grow in 1/3 of the soil. And it's kind of always a variant of about 1/3 because it's got a spindly little taproot that's going to go down all the way to the bottom. And if it feels that it can go that far down, it's going to put the bigger part of that root is going to end up just the top third of that. So if I've got 18 inches, I'm going to end up with a 6-inch.
So those carrots that you get from the store that are Russo's Farms that are like almost 2 feet,
they blade 3 feet down at least on those things. Yeah, those are deep bladed, kind of a sandy soils, typically what they got, like volcanic type soils and stuff that drain really well, and those things can grow down deep. That's what it takes if you want to get a good long carrot. But for a radish, they'll grow on top of the soil. They don't care if they got any deep soil to grow in. They'll just grow a bulb on top. So
and that's one that you can plant over and over and over again till about spring.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, I don't like putting them in the exact same spot. So I would recommend that even if you're doing radishes, you're going to rotate them, and that's part of our root crop. So we do that fun little rhyme that I made up years ago. It's the root, fruit, bean, green. And so if you follow that little rotational rhyme, then you're going to have improved soil from each rotation. And it's not going to deplete, and you're not going to end up with weird stuff going on. You're going to be improving that soil. So the root, fruit, bean, green. So after the greens, if I had lettuce that I just harvested, I can grow some root crops right there. And that actually worked pretty good. So I can grow some carrots. And oddly enough, those lettuces have taproots that work pretty good at digging through your hard soil. So they're going to help soften that soil for your root crop that follows. And so that's another great advice just for any of your gardens, but especially during your holiday time, because time is of the essence. You don't want to have to redo everything. You want to spend time with family, maybe less time in the garden, more time with the family, and that's important. Finally, out on this list, spinach, Swiss chard, which I know is a winner in this room right here. So Swiss chard, great to grow if you get it in starts. You can pick them at any stage in their leaf cycle. Just never pick more than 1/3 of your plant, and always be breaking the branches off. Don't just cut it at the base. It's like, because plants like that, especially Swiss chard, they'll grow all the way through the summer for you if you get in the right spot. And one of my favorite spots for Swiss chard this time of year is a morning sun, afternoon shade, what we call an A microclimate in your yard. So with that, it's going to then extend your season all the way through almost the entire summer months. We've got some Swiss chard growing at a couple of restaurants in town, as well as at the Queen Creek Botanical Gardens that have never bolted, and we're still harvesting.